and this is the result. It's a really good book, very interesting to read, a whole from beginning to end, and I think he's got a future writing more books too. He's very good at writing. I won't go on too much. I'm going to hand you over to Warwick, and he can have a few words, and then we're going to do a reading, and take it from there. Okay, Warwick, over to you.
I've got to sit down because I'm an old man. Okay, first of all, I'd just like to thank Becky, who's out in the back there, just for allowing us to descend on her lovely little cafe, and for stocking my wife's pizza, which is quite nice. And from there, I'd like to thank Ange for her support and encouragement, and she'll take constructive nagging from time to time. Just wouldn't have got this far without her. To my IT and art department, Brittany. Up yet? Stand up. So she designed the basic concept of the cover and various other little arty bits in here and there. That's part of the book. That probably is. It's the only part you can read. Also like to thank Kiara, who will be giving us a bit of a reading, maybe, if she can remember how to read.
Just ignore everybody.
Yeah, and she'll skip over the big words, so it shouldn't be too bad. And also Mitchell and Nicola, who have contributed and supported in their own way. Mitchell's amazing marketing on Facebook is get around my dad's book. That's great. That's probably helped. And also my extended family, who up until about 4 hours ago I thought it was just going to be mum and dad, and it turns out to be my oldest brother Bruce and Todd and Jilly and Tegan and Ross and Don and Sarah and just about everybody else has seemed to roll up, and Kathy trying to run away and hide me. So thank you for coming as far as you have. It's a really nice surprise. Nobody knows Amy apart from me, but we first met in year 2 at Rosshill Primary School in Inverell. I left school in year 11 and went off to join the army, and he went off to do bigger and better things, and he's now the director of radiology at Toowoomba Hospital. So I think he's got a bit of a future. He sticks with it. He'll go all right. And who else? Yeah, Mum and Dad for organising the rest of the crew showing up and paying for the hotel that we're all staying in.
Don't believe it, you'll get the bill shortly.
That's all right, we're in Andrew's car, we're out of here. And most importantly, if Brittany can bring me that little purple thing there.
Alright, I got it.
I got you a real car without a missing badge on it.
Oh!
And here comes Bruce. But no, most importantly, I would like to thank Linda, because I rang her up about 12 months ago and just said, I've got a book on to publish, and strange enough, she didn't run away screaming. And just right from the whole get-go, she's been very, very supportive. And sometimes you've got to sort of pinch yourself to realise that you're not her only client. It just makes you feel that you're the only one that she has to worry about. And occasionally you've sort of gone to ask her something and thought, well, no, she's got better things to do. But never seems to. So, yeah, she's been very, very supportive, and obviously none of this would have happened without her. Very big thank you, and got your bottle. Yes. I thought it was called Rose, but apparently it's Rosé. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Now, I think that's about all I have to say thank yous to. So now I'll get Kiara to come up.
Page 129.
And
First
when she buggers it up, just remember she's my smart one. I've got 2 others.
Alrighty. Okay. You guys done? We ready? We can start. Okay. Woo! Okay. Sorry.
Speak up.
I can read, I promise. Yeah, can you?
Hang on.
Okay, look at the page like it's mine.
Let's be real. Serious?
She's not going to get it straight. No,
Alright.
Come on,
Almost as if being guided by a common will, the mass of half-drunk, angry men drifted towards the Eureka Hotel, Patrick and his friends among them, each feeling that something momentous was about to happen and no one wanting to miss out. As they neared the hotel, a number of police officers filed out to stand between the crowd and the hotel. Upon hearing of the planned meeting, Commissioner Reid had allowed for the possibility of this very event occurring and had taken the precaution of posting the officers inside. Now they were all that stood between the mob and the man universally loathed throughout the diggings. In front of the seething mass, upwards of 3,000 diggers, the half-dozen troopers looked pathetically frail. The diggers looked upon them with scorn. "Come on out, Bentley, you murdering bastard," someone called over the general murmuring of the crowd. He was supported in his demands by a rousing cheer. Fergus nudged Patrick and pointed to a gully to the side of the crowd, and Patrick saw a huge lodge of mounted police slowly making their way through the crowd to join the other officers. As the line of horses wound its way toward them, Patrick looked up to see Sergeant Major Milne scowling down at him. Patrick returned the look without emotion, but nearly recoiled in shock when he noticed, riding directly behind Milne, Constable Halliday. "Evening, lads," he said with false civility as he moved past. Stunned, no one was able to respond and just stared as the procession eventually arrived at the front of the hotel. "Bastards could have gone around the edge, but chose to push us instead," Tom said, shaking his head. "Trying to show their strength, the fools. We outnumber them by 100 to 1, and they try to push us around." Patrick was fuming as he stared at the gathered troopers. "I'll tell you what, boys, give me half a chance and that bastard Halliday won't be able to ride a horse ever again. I'll shove his head so far up his ass they won't know which part to put in the saddle." you might...
My razor, not to swear.
"You might get your chance sooner than you think, mate," said Bert. "Did you feel the mood turn dark when those troopers rolled in? All it'll take is one spark and this is going to explode. Can you feel it, lads?" Then suddenly, over the sound of the jeers and calls, the sound of breaking glass was heard. Someone had picked up a rock and hurled it at the hotel, smashing one of the windows. Patrick looked at the ground, noticed a large rock at his feet and found it impossible to resist. Might as well, he laughed to his friends, and hurled the rock towards the hotel and was rewarded with the satisfying sight of shattering glass. "Nice shot," Tom said, as he also reached down to find something to throw. By now, the air was thick with missiles of all descriptions, flying towards the hotel, with the police ducking out of the way. Stones, sticks, bottles, and even shoes were hurled forth as the tension broke like a midsummer storm. Before long, the front veranda was covered with broken glass, with not a single window left intact, and the diggers let out a huge cheer of satisfaction. The cheer grew to a crescendo moments later, when a figure was seen rushing out the back of the hotel, jumping onto one of the police horses and galloping off into the distance away from the crowd. Bentley had decided his future well-being was better served by being anywhere other than at that hotel. He didn't extend the same concern to his wife, who had left behind inside. "Run, you bloody coward," Patrick called after him, and a myriad of other voices echoed his sentiments. Over the calls of the crowd, Patrick heard a voice ring out, "I propose that this house belongs to the diggers." And as he returned his attention back to the hotel, he noticed a digger standing in front of the building, holding aloft a board he had just ripped off. He tossed the plank into the crowd, pulled off another board and threw it to the crowd as though he was making a gift of the hotel to his friends, one piece at a time. More coppers, Bert informed them, and sure enough, more mounted troops were seen heading towards the hotel. At their head was Commissioner Reed, resplendent in full uniform in an attempted show of supreme authority. He dismounted and with long, purposeful strides made his way to the front of the hotel to attempt to appease the mob. "Gentlemen, please," he began. "You are all honourable men, grieving the loss of one of our own. Yes, I say our own, because like you, I have been a digger, and I promise I will see justice done for young Scobie. But you all need to go home now before any further trouble is caused by your grief." Reed saw something flash past his eye and strike the wall behind him. He turned to see what had been thrown and was temporarily taken aback when he saw the shattered eggs slowly sliding down the wall. Just as quickly, his surprise was overcome by rage. Someone had dared to throw an egg at him. He was the Commissioner. A second egg sailed past him as he was looking for the culprit. Believing he had seen the man responsible, he shouted at the nearest officers to arrest the man. However, the officers had judged the mood of the crowd better than the Commissioner. They knew that riding into that seething mass to attempt an arrest would invite disaster to whoever was stupid enough to try. Instead, they backed away nervously, a move that instantly let the crowd know they now had the power. "You will not give us justice. Then we will take the law into our own hands," a digger called out as he forced his way forward and started tearing more boards off the walls of the hotel. Noticing that the police made no attempt to stop him, the crowd surged forward like hunting dogs let off the leash, and pandemonium reigned as they overran the building and flooded inside. "Come on, lads," Patrick said. "This will be the best bit of fun to happen around here for a long time." "You're a bad influence, Patrick Flanagan," Fergus laughed as he joined the rush towards the hotel. "An Irishman is never a bad influence, Fergus. You skirt-wearing Scots, on the other hand." Tom jumped to the defence of his compatriot. "It's called a kilt, you heathen bastard. I'll sort you out later, but right now I have more important things to attend to," Fergus responded. By the time they made their way to the hotel, other men were already throwing furniture out of the windows, and the sound of breaking glass and splintering wood spoke of the destruction taking place inside. Patrick had to duck quickly to avoid a serving platter that flew out of an empty window frame, laughing hysterically at the near miss. He noticed the fine timber that had been used to make the wall boards and to frame the window, and decided that he could use it to make a chair worthy of his wife. "Give us a hand," he said to his friends. Needing no further encouragement, the others joined in. Before long, each had an armful of timber, looking around for the quickest and safest way to get themselves back to the edge of the crowd. Patrick led them through the bustling crowd, and upon reaching the edge, turned back to watch the rest of the show. "Doing a bit of stealing, are you?" a malevolent voice from behind him said. He turned to see Sergeant Major Milne behind him with Halliday at his side. "Arrest him, Constable," he ordered. "Yes, come on, Constable Halliday, arrest me," Patrick challenged. Halliday's fear was written all over his face as he saw a large group of diggers assemble behind Patrick, intent on doing whatever it took to prevent Halliday carrying out that order. Even Milne realised the futility of the order and slowly backed away and led Halliday in a humiliating retreat. "See you again next time, Sergeant Major," Patrick called after him and turned back to the hotel. He could see small wisps of smoke escaping through the windows and realised the evening's events were about to reach their finale. Despite the efforts of the more dutiful police to extinguish the small flames, there were simply too many diggers inside the hotel reigniting them. Even the arrival of the 40th Regiment, with their swords drawn, could do little to stop the mayhem. They managed to cordon off a section of the hotel, but with the diggers already inside, it was a token effort at best. A nearby water cart was spiked to ensure that there was no chance of putting out a fire, and the redcoats were powerless to stop it. The employees and residents of the hotel knew by now that the mob had won, and they must now make a hasty exit. The honest workers were given every assistance to remove their belongings, but those who had testified in defence of the Bentleys were jostled out and unceremoniously thrown out the back door, along with the pregnant Catherine Bentley. Just as the last of the occupants were removed, a wind blew up, as if nature itself wished to wipe the hotel from the face of the earth, or as Fergus and many of the more superstitious diggers believed, the spirit of James Scobie was taking its own revenge. The wind fanned the small fires until at last the interior of the hotel was fully engulfed in flame. The last few diggers were making their way outside with arms full of silverware, furniture, or even the ever-precious bottles of liquor. After 5 more minutes, the blaze was so hot no one was able to get near, and the police and redcoats finally admitted defeat and left the area. The diggers, mesmerised by the flames and the feeling of euphoria of having hit back at the authorities in some way, stood about in a strange atmosphere of camaraderie and watched as the flames engulfed the shingle roof, giving the crowd the best bonfire any of them had witnessed. Suddenly, a sound joined the roaring of the flames and the exploding bottles. A creaking of timbers could be heard, and Patrick could feel a surge of expectation as he sensed that this was it. The hotel was about to collapse. And sure enough, within moments, the roof started to fall in on itself and dragged the back wall down with a loud crash, sending a shower of sparks high into the night sky. The remaining walls soon collapsed, and the hotel and bowling alley, once a symbol of decadence and expensive style, was nothing more than a burning pile of blackened timber. No!
Cara is now going to read a poem that she wrote and performed at the Slam Poetry Finals last year. Here we go.
Jeez. I'm so mad at you right now. Wait, I'm in my head. Oh my god. So mad at you. As I sit on my bed, tears stinging my eyes, I stare at my blank page, just wondering why. Wondering why I'm not good enough to fill the space with words I'm being made to say about a topic I hear from day to day. Stressing about having nothing to say in a way that may lay my grades at bay above a VLA. Yet somehow wanting to do just okay. Our self-worth is placed by a pen marking to paper. We're taught that we're no better than the grade that we receive later. But maybe if we just believe, the result should not deceive. Maybe we'll finally succeed in the exceeding expectations placed on this generation to be marked on the same generalization. We're confined by the walls lining these halls with each dawn opportunity to answer the calls. The calls of an education that sets us up for failing falls, but it's okay. Because they're setting us up for our lives and all. Jokes? Just give me a sec, guys. I see. We're taught from the start to crave a life of education. First finish high school, then university, our first consideration. After achieving these allocations, our future will be prosperous post-graduation. At least that's what we're told upon recommendation. What we aren't taught, though, is to live a life of creation in an endless field of imagination that is susceptible to personal interpretation. When forced to decide what I want to be when I grow up, my answer is something that school cannot provide. I have no interest in becoming a doctor, a dentist, or by a nurse's side. What I want in life is something that no QCS or QCE can guide, because what I want to be when I grow up is something that school does not bother teaching. All I want is the only life goal worth reaching. Because when I grow up, I want to be happy.
She needs to face.
Thank you, Cara. Okay, on the Facebook page or the event, I was told that there'll be a free book given away to whoever can answer an obscure question.
Oh, what?
So, can anybody tell me who was the first person to be shot at the Eureka Stockade?
Oh.
Can anybody get shot? That's a trick question.
This is where you get onto Google.
That's a trick question. Did anybody get shot?
Give you a hint, it wasn't a minor. Oh, you do, because I won't know. No takers? There's actually a bloke called Private Webb who was a redcoat, and the shot that killed him sparked the whole thing. But nobody gets a free book. Okay, so what I might do, if there's just do a quick Q&A, if anybody's got some questions or anything like that, shout them out, and we'll see if we can answer them. Go.
Where? What?
Oh, you can go on. Yes, Brittany.
What inspired you to book?
Boredom. No, well basically, when I was working at the car wash we had an extended period of just one rainy day after another, and nobody washes their car when it's raining, and so all the jobs that were put off for a rainy day had been done probably twice already. I was looking at the clock and there was about 6 hours of nothingness to go. So I thought, oh bugger, I've got to pass the time somehow. I'll start typing away and writing a book. And probably for the first 3/4 of the writing process, it was still known as Let's See How This Goes. Still didn't have title and still didn't think it was actually going to go anywhere. But now it has, and thank God for boredom.
Pity it didn't stop raining.
Well, it did eventually, and I had to go and do some work. So, however, if I was living in Melbourne, it would have been different. I'd have had 5 books by now. Anywhere else?
Have you always been passionate about writing?
No. No, I think I didn't fail English at school, but I didn't do so well. And I don't know where it came from, just over the years. Working in boredom, working in Queensland Health and all that sort of stuff, getting bored. Yes, Father?
It came from us. Who the hell do you think it come from?
Actually, I've never seen you write anything. I've never seen you write your name.
Dad did write something. He wrote some notes to school that nobody could understand.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he got called up to explain himself too, didn't he? Yeah, I remember. Yeah, but working with Queensland Police and Queensland Health and all sort of stuff, it's all boring administration type stuff. And so, just to pass the time, I'd expand on writing things instead of writing simple, basic emails. I'd write something. So
I thought you'd bore us with a book.
pretty much. Yeah. Well, that's where it's ended up anyway. I mean, at one stage, I had to send an email to someone to tell them that somebody had given them a call, and I was bored at the time, so instead of just writing a simple one-line thing, I did a whole biblical in the beginning, and then just dragged it all the way through till this bloke calling her and to give him a call back. And so sort of over the years, I sort of started to think maybe I had a bit of an ability with writing, and took it from there. Had a few false starts with books, but just had to find the right genre to go in for and take it from there. It's good.
So why the Eureka Stockade?
Basically because I just read a book on the Eureka Stockade. I'd read Peter Fitzsimon's book about Eureka, and even someone like me who's just interested in history in general, there was a lot of things I didn't know about it. I thought, well, there's probably a lot of things that most people don't know about it. A lot of people say, when you ask what caused the Eureka Stockade, everybody goes, people were just protesting about licences. And up until I read Fitzsimon's book, I didn't think the question any different. But when it comes down to it, who puts their life on the line for a licence? There was more. It got me thinking there's got to be more to it than that. And then doing more research into it, there's stuff like they never had the right to vote. The cost of a licence was just far in excess of the cost to the squatters who had vast acreage of land and paid bugger all for it. And they had no rights to vote, and the spark, which really set off the whole thing, was that part that Kiara just read. It was about the murder of a young fellow named James Scobie, and that was the bit that really kicked it off from just a general protest to a point where people were willing to put their lives on the line to fight for what they believed in. And I've always been fascinated by people who will stand up and risk everything to fight for what they believe in. And that rebellion set Australia on the path to become what we are now, which is, what we used to be was a very egalitarian country where it didn't matter where you were from, what your background was, as long as it was European. We won't go there on this occasion, but that's for another book down the track. But yeah, it didn't matter where you were, what your background was, if you were rich, poor, educated, or uneducated. All that mattered was how you conducted yourself on the goldfields. And that sort of set the direction for what Australia came to become. And unfortunately, it's sort of a little bit of what we're losing. So hopefully, if nothing else, this book will give people a bit of a pick up the bum and sort of go back to realising what Australia is actually about. And it's not about corporations and money and all that rubbish. It's about looking after each other. And that's what Eureka is all about for me.
We'll keep going. We won't have to buy the book.
I can tell you how it ends. There's a big fight at the end.
All black pages and stop.
Sorry?
All black pages and stop.
Yeah. What is the go with the 4 point pages?
That's like
Oh, okay. That's people in the background somewhere.
For some reason, they have extra pages. They put the little barcode on the back, and it doesn't really need all those pages. Sometimes you just have those pages. You make notes.
Yeah.
Like notes, okay. Yeah, that'll work.
Story. For some reason, they had extra pages. I was impressed. That's right.
Yeah, more value for money, you get some more pages for no reason.
And it makes sense.
Anything else?
How long did it take you to start finish?
Start to finish about 2 years. Like, Rookie, you're probably stuck in traffic. Yeah, it took about 2 years. So I didn't actually sort of do the research and then write the book and sort of, you know, write a bit, research a bit, write a bit. Whenever I came up to a bit that I didn't know anything about, at one stage we're going down the coast in an old sailing ship. I know nothing about sailing ships, so first had to figure out what sort of ship was going on there, basically the design of a ship, where each person would be, what jobs they had to do, and then write that into the story. And, you know, so you do that bit, and then you come down the next bit and you go, what did Melbourne look like in 1852? So you go back and research it and put that in there, and pretty much that's the way I sort of went. Research a bit, write a bit, research, write, and just sort of basically let the story go in whichever direction it wanted to go.
The way he's woven fictional characters into the factual part of the story is brilliant. Because you'd think they're actually characters that were in that story, in that history event. It's really well done.
And that's the good thing with doing the your own research. You find ways where you can put your characters into the story. Because going through a lot of the old newspapers and diary entries and that sort of stuff, you hear things about something happening to an anonymous digger. You go, well, that anonymous digger can be one of my blokes. There's a letter from the Age newspaper, which I've included in the book, which was submitted by an anonymous person on the goldfields. So I signed that particular passage in that article to one of my characters, just to weave them into the factual things, put the real information in there, but also maintain, you know, a way to bring your fictional characters into them. You know, it's taken a while, but it's worth it. Anything else?
What was the hardest bit to write without giving basic levels?
Oh, well, in the period between sort of mid 1853 to mid 1854, there wasn't a great deal that happened as far as the build-up to the revolution is concerned. But I couldn't just cut out almost an entire year of the history. So then I had to find out ways of, just keeping the story moving for that period. And it was a bit harder there because I didn't have a storyline to sort of follow. Had to maintain the storyline, maintain the characters, the sort of things that would happen, and fill in the blanks basically. That was a hard bit to write. So I had to use my imagination. I don't have a big imagination. Well, I imagine I'm not too bad sometimes, so that's it. Yeah, that was the hardest part. And the love scenes. Trying to put love stories in it. That was horrible. I had no inspiration. Walking home, because we drive her car down here, so I'm obviously walking home. Anyone else? Sweet. So, what we'll do now, because I think we've probably running out of time before they got to close, is I'll station myself up here, and if you want to come and buy a book, I'll sign it and write inspiring words of inspiration. if you can just tell me what to write, and it'll be good. I think they're saying $20 a book, and
You charged me 30.
yeah. Well, I had to. And like I said on Facebook, if you buy one for the price of two, we'll throw in the second one free. If you know somebody who wants another one. Okay, so we'll take that from here. Okay.